Hey everybody, Fred Sumner here. Got my lovely little apron on. I'm going to go over with you today about this. This is going to be the first in a series of brain tanning a buckskin, a deer skin. So I'm going to go from deer skin to buckskins using the brain tanning method. I've got another video and it shows a dry scrape method. I don't really like that method too much. I just don't like it. It's just me. That's more traditional Creole, or Indian, I should say, Indian way. That's how they did it. They dry scraped it with bone tools and stuff like that. So, but for me, I just don't like it. Let's go over, before we get into the actual hide and everything, let's go over the tools, okay? You're going to need a scraping board. All right, this is one I made. It's nothing fancy, it's nothing spectacular. It gets the job done. It's stable, it works. I like it. It needs to be improved a little bit. This can be a little bit longer so I can stand a little more upright. Where here, I'm getting down into it. And I don't really want to do that. I want to be upright more, so I can get more of a lean, where as here I'm already leaned over pushing on it, and that's not what you want. So I need to make this one a little bit longer, but it gets the job done. Another way that you could do this is get yourself a 6, 8, 10 inch piece of PVC pipe. And you usually want it about as tall as you are. So me, I'm almost 7 foot, so I would get an 8-foot piece and put it at a little bit of a steeper angle, okay, like this. So I could use that whole 8-foot piece instead of cutting it. And then just round off the top to not a spear point, but not flat ended like this. You kind of want it at a very dull spear point, okay? Where this one isn't that way, but it should be. I need to correct that. I need to cut it, round it over some more, because then it gives you, right here would be your direct scraping line. Whereas opposed to the way I have this, it's kind of off-centered. Sometimes I scrape over here, sometimes I scrape over there. So I need to fix this after I do this, which I'm going to do after I finish scraping this other hide. Another item that you need, get back to this board. Make sure that when you're scraping that it's stable. Me, I just stand on it, okay? I'm a little over 300 pounds, I should say. So when I stand on this and I lean in it, it becomes stable. It's nice and solid. It's not going to move on me. So all of my pressure and force is going to be on the hide, not chasing the board around. Another method that I don't do, but it's called draw scraping, is you take and put a board stuck up underneath the branch of a tree and pin the hide and between the board and the tree and pull down like this. It's not a bad method, I just don't do it. But PVC, wood are your good mediums to scrape on. Yeah, they used to do it on logs. So, you know, if you can get yourself an old tree that fell that's 6, 8 inches, 10 inches in diameter, bark it, and that'd be great, because the angle, you know, you got to think about where your blade is hitting on that wood. If it's hitting like this, you may think it's getting a lot of coverage, but you're not getting a good hard scrape that you need. It's doing this. But if you hit here, now you're concentrating all your effort in that one spot right there, as opposed to flat like that. When you're meat scraping, as I call it, fleshing is the actual term for it. When you're fleshing a hide, being that precise is not that important. You still want it precise, but it doesn't have to be absolutely perfect at this stage, because now you're just removing the fat, the meat that's left over from the skinning process, and a little bit of membrane. You'll finish the membrane, getting the membrane off after it's been bucked in a couple days. Now, let's get on to, so right now, absolutely perfect scraping is not important. Let's get on to the tools. You got your scrapers. All right, there's a ton of different kinds out there. I'm not going to give you specifics. I don't even remember what brand this is. I bought it off of Amazon for like 14 bucks. I've got a local place here in town. It's a Sporting Goods that does that has tanning equipment. They have it there for 15, so that's the going rate. I was just in there yesterday. They've got one just like this for $15, so they shouldn't be more than 20 bucks at most. This one is just a little over 2 foot. I have this one that's just a little over 1 foot. And the reason why I have two is this one handles the big stuff. This will remove some flesh. It will remove membranes. It will do some heavy duty work. But sometimes you really need to bear down and get some good clean areas. So I got a little one. The thing with these, you want good comfortable handles. Okay, and as you can see, this one's just about shoulder width apart from me, so that lets me get some good power in here, get some good heavy scraping going on, and really work it hard. But you want good, comfortable handles, because if your handles aren't comfortable, you're going to get fatigued quick, and you're not going to do that good of a job, and you're going to have to take more breaks. This one's got textured handles on it, so it gives me a little bit more of a grip, but as you can see, I wear gloves when I do this, just because I do. I either wear nitrates, or I wear these flexible that have been dipped kind. These ones are Maxi-Cut Ultra DTs. So my wife got them for me where she works. They get them by the gross. She brings me home 3 or 4 every couple weeks because I go through real quick. Anyway, and a knife. The other thing you're going to need is a knife. Now, a word of caution with your knives, okay? If anybody's wondering, this is a Pathfinder knife. Blank number 13. I made it quite a while ago. I just happened to pick it up and it's in my back pocket. So, when I walked out of my man cave today. A word of caution when it comes to knives and skinning your deer. When you skin your deer, use the knife as absolutely as little as possible. And the reason why I tell you this, because if you use your knife on the whole hide, what's going to happen is you're going to put knife marks in it. And it's going to ruin the finished product. Okay? And here is the perfect example of what I'm talking about. You see this right here? Right there. You see those 2 little lines? That's a knife mark. Now, I was gifted this hide. A friend gave me this hide, so I can't complain. It's a free hide. I've asked him time and time again just to tell me when he's got a deer to skin, and I'll come do it. But I woke up this morning, and it was sitting outside my garage in a bucket with the head. So I guess I'm not going to complain too much. I got to set up free brains and a free hide to work on to make a buckskin. So now, to the nitty gritty. As you can see, this hide is pretty white. Okay, and that's what you're shooting for. You want to get your hide clean and white. This right there, as you can see, meat. There's a big chunk of fat right here. You want that off there. I'm not going to pull it off by hand. I'll pull it off by with the scraper. But when you see, you can almost pull it off by hand. Okay? When you take the hide off your deer, you making your initial cuts around the neck, around the joint, around the joints, and then get it started and use your hands and your body weight to pull it off. Because you get in there with the knife and start hacking away, you're going to put knife marks all over the hide, and you might as well throw it away, because then you've ruined it, because now it's got knife marks on it. There's not a whole lot then you're going to have little knife marks all over the hide, and it's going to look like hell. It's not going to be a smooth, nice piece of leather. It's going to be, use your body weight and pull the hides down. If people need it, the next year I'll make a video on how to dehide a deer, okay? But now, let's back to this. As you can see right here where my hand is, there's a nice big red patch of meat. This is what you want off your hides. You want it to be like this white piece up here, okay? I'll bring the camera over to give you a better look. See, this is all flesh and membrane, and over here's a little bit of fat and stuff, and then up here it's nice and clean. This is what you want to end up as. This white, nice piece of clean hide right here. And it should be just a little bit sticky when you do this. It's just the way it works. Let's move this over, and it's better to go from center to belly, than it is to go from head to tail. For me, it just seems to work out that the meat wants to let go better that way, and the membranes and everything else. Now down here is a blood stain. Don't worry about that because that will come out. You will not scrape that out at this point in time. Okay? See, I'll show you. You're not going to scrape that out. That's a blood stain. So don't sweat it. Okay? If you got a blood stain on the hide, that's fine. But we move over to the meat, which is right here. Don't have the hide folded up on itself like you see right there. You want it flat, okay? Just like that. Want it nice and flat so it gets in contact with the board. Then really, there's not much. You can do this two ways. You can either have the bevel toward you or the bevel away from you. It's up to you. Lean in, pinch the hide between your belly and the board, and push. As you can see, that meat and everything is just rolling right off there. Fat, all of that. It's coming right off. And if you don't get every absolute ounce off at this point, that's okay. You will. It'll come off in the later stages. And you just keep moving your hide. This process here, part of the process here, should only take you a half hour, 45 minutes, maybe an hour if you're new to it, you're concerned. See? Get in there and get to rubbing and scraping. Show it a little bit of love. Talk to it when you do it. You know? Don't let the neighbors think you're crazy. What the hell do they care? What do you care? When you get done, you're going to have a nice set of buckskins. Now right here, okay, when you come across, if you got a deer that's been eating good, got a lot of fat on them, you can save that fat when it comes off and just use that to make tallow and stuff. I'll be doing a video probably Tuesday, later on this week, on how to do that. See, there's a little piece of membrane. I'm pulling it up. I don't know how well it's coming out on the camera, but there, I'm pulling it up. Just go back and dig in and start biting. There you go. And then work it out, baby. That's it. And just push it right through the edge of the hide. Just keep pushing. It'll come off. There. Rotate your hide a little bit. Yep. Now here's the hole where he must have shot it. That brings up a good point. When you work around a hole, be careful, because if you hit it the wrong way, you're going to elongate that hole. That means more you're going to have to sew. All right. So you just kind of want to push up to it real gentle like. Work on the other side of it. Work on this side of it. Work on that side of it. Push through. Now once you get one side of it clean, don't go jamming on it like this, because now you're going to make the hole along this way. Wait until you rotate again, and rotate the hide specifically so you can get to this hole on the other side. If nothing else, turn the hide completely around and push back in towards the hole again. Then that will keep it from ripping out, and you won't get a bigger hole, and you'll only have a small hole to clean up. And you'll run into big hard sections like this. You see how that's all right, jam in there. You're not gonna hurt this hide. Get in there and work it. Make that sumbitch, just like that. So, yeah, baby. Now you see this big piece of fat right here? I will come back and cut that off the meat later to use for my tallow. And tallow has got more uses than I can count. You can use it for medicine, you can use it to cook in, you can use it for a conditioner for your boots, for your guns, for your knives. You know, there's a bunch of things that deer tallow can be used for. I mean, you can use it to make soap, all kinds of great stuff. That's why when you hear people talk about using the full resources of the deer, that's what they're talking about. You want to use the sinew off the back straps. It's a silvery piece of membrane that runs along your back straps. You can use that to sew up your deer hides. That stuff is strong as hell. You weave that together and you got a strong damn piece of cordage. You can use it to sew with. You can use it to sew up wounds if you need to. You can shred it down into thinner pieces. This stuff is damn near impossible to break. Like I said, this would be a little bit easier on my back if my board was longer, but when I get something and it works, even if it's not the best way to do it, I get stubborn about it and don't want to change. And you will, scraping the edges of your hide to get all the membrane off, you will inevitably scrape your board. And that's all right. That's all right. Even if you got a PVC board, you will scrape it. There we go. That's a nice big fat chunk. Yeah, that's gonna make nice tallow. I'll throw that over there. And now we're down to the end of the hide. See, I'm digging in pretty hard. You're not going to hurt the hide. As long as you go in an up and down motion, you're not going to hurt your hide. But if you go left to right, if you like this in a sawing motion, then you could stand to damage your hide real bad. And that's not what you want to do. You want as few holes in the hide as possible. Pull it back up towards me. I can get this little section right here. But you saw how long it took me to do this section of hide. If I had shut up and actually just jumped on it and did it, probably take me a whole hell of a lot less. But talking and scraping at the same time tends to distract from what I'm doing. But that's okay. Now we just scrape it down. Get all the rest of this remaining crap off here. And a lot of people will scrape everything into a 5-gallon jug or a garbage bag or something like that. If that's what you want to do, go ahead. I don't. I take it when I'm done. I got a big field back here behind me that I take it out and I throw it into the woods or into that field, and I let the song dogs and the chipmunks and the squirrels and the birds and so forth. I've even seen a bear out there. get a quick free meal. So, and I know all the dangers. Oh, you're inviting this or inviting that, and I understand what you're going to say, and I don't need to hear it. That's just the way I do it. I'm not saying that it's right. I'm not saying that it's wrong. I'm saying that's what I do. I've been doing that for 26, 27 years and have yet to have a problem with unwanted visitors. So, there's a little bit of membrane in there that I want to get rid of. So I'm going to go ahead and dig out my little one here. There it goes. Put it over closer to the edge. There we go. That's a good girl. There. Pull that off and we are done. Now, I've got a nice clean fleshed hide. Okay, it's still dirty. It's got some blood stains in it, but that'll come out as the process continues on. It's got a couple big holes. Told you he wasn't a very good guy to skin the deer hide, but it's going to work for what I'm going to use it for. So, now, this is actually a pretty good sized deer hide. As you can see, when it's done, it hangs down below my knees. Now, if I turn this into a part of a shirt, which is what I'm going to do, you know, this is going to turn out nice. It's going to be too long, because hell, this hide is almost 6 foot long. So, but anyway, now it's ready to get bucked. And what that means, that's just another term for soaking it in a lye solution. Okay, and I'll do that on another video because this one's way too damn long. So we'll go ahead and I'll go ahead and stop the camera and we'll get set up for the next. Okay, so this is Fred Sumner. If you like what you see, comment, hit the like button, leave me a message, I'll get back to you. Now let's move on to part number 2.